Hello, friends. Update. What I've been up to lately. Couple of thoughts. 7 months sober. No alcohol. I haven't had coffee in about 4 months. And I don't miss it. And a couple of things. It's taken months for what coffee and alcohol has done to my body to come around a little bit. So I feel a little better. And your adrenal glands are real small sitting on top of your kidneys. And every time you're drinking alcohol and every time you're taking in caffeine, some kind of caffeine, if you drink a lot of tea or you drink a lot of coffee, monster drinks, whatever, you're messing up your adrenal glands. And it's probably not a new thing to you. You probably already know that. Take a look at that though. Take a look at the adrenal glands. Look at some pictures of them. Look at how small they are, and also keep in mind too that cortisol from the adrenal glands is another thing that the adrenal glands does for your body. So if your body's not breaking down properly and then building up properly, then you've got pancreas, you have adrenal glands, you have kidneys, you have your liver. Have you been eating too much fat? Have you been eating too much sugar? Have you been taking in too much dairy? And that's another thing I'll point out is dairy fat. I've been keeping down quite a bit. So what are some of the massive dairy fats? Your milk, your 2% milk, your whole milk, whatever. I haven't bought a jug of milk in a long, long time. Years. And milk is crap anyways. I don't want the nasty stuff that they put in it. They add extra vitamins into it. I don't want that. I don't want so much of the fat as well. And then the other things is the number one worst freaking thing is butter. Real butter. Cow butter, milk fat. Awful for the body. Awful for your insulin receptors and your healing and all those other things. So, if you're going to stop drinking and you're going to stop drinking coffee and you're going to stop doing a lot of things that weigh you down in life, remember too also your diet. Remember also too the things that you're eating. I need to remember these things always, that if I'm taking in any of these things, it's always going to need to be in small amounts or only for a little amount of time, and then I got to take it out completely. And way massive high issue is if you're living with people that disregard these things. So if you're a younger person or you're married or you're boyfriend, girlfriend, and you're wanting to do these things and they're not. So there's a conflict of interest there. And that sucks. I'm not with anyone, so I can do that. If you are, and that's an issue, I take it upon myself just to tell them, hey, go to hell. This is what I'm gonna do. If you're gonna make something, make it certain things separate, and then put your sauces off on a different thing, and put the things that they like off in a different thing, and then cook it in, or just have it a topping type thing. That's how I'd figure it. If I was with someone, that's how I would do it. I'd figure it in that way. I'd base my foods differently in the cooking process, because I know that if you're stewing or you put it all in there, you cook it, and then you serve it out, and then that's a problem if you want to do that. Because if I'm ever talking to my mother about these things with my father and how they eat, it's always an excuse of, oh, what, he doesn't, but and it's a, well, we're not gonna do that because he doesn't, and then then they it just goes against your health. Just keep that in mind. So 7 months sober, and I've been to myself. I've been alone, as usual. And summertime now, so I've been riding the bike, and I had a massive tree cut down in the back, and that was a pain in the butt. So if you have a cottonwood that's growing, or you have an aspen that's growing, that's not real big, and you can hack it down, hack them down, cut them down. Because those cottonwoods get real big, big, and they're a problem. And the aspens are even a bigger problem, because those things will fall over easy from the wind, which I know about. And other just general things, just keeping up with humanity. And that's something that I was wanting to talk about, is keeping up with humanity and social pressures. And there's an infinite amount of things that are problematic in that category of keeping up, no matter who you are. And then the mind, the brain, we're born with these certain makeup. Each of us are not exactly the same. We have different needs and wants, so that way our brains can feel okay. We're healthy. We can get on. And then if you're not having those things, if your brain is not as capable as another person of feeling love so easily, or being happy so easily, then what do you got to do to make you keep going? What do you got to do to keep your morale up? Social things such as where are you going to put your body, to where are you going to live, where are you going to put your body, who are you going to be around. If you're not around anyone at all, what kind of effect does that have on your mind? And I'm out riding the bike in the mornings, and yesterday I saw a young, maybe 21-year-old girl walking her dog. Beautiful morning out. And she's just sitting there looking at her phone, swiping to the sides. I wonder. And she's just sitting there looking at her phone, just walking the whole way, just sitting there looking at her phone. People at parks sitting there looking at their phones. Go to a birthday party or whatever, people sitting there looking at their phones. I go over to my sister's house. I hadn't been over there in a long time. I hadn't seen her kids for a while. And what are they doing? They're just sitting there eating their food, just looking at their phones. I was watching something yesterday, and something about rock bands. Do you think there's going to be a future for rock bands or something? To a sound engineer guy that's done albums or whatever, and he said, people are so distracted. These kids are so distracted with phones and everything that it's less likely for things to go closely to how they've been in the past, where there wasn't as much of a distraction as there is today with technology, with phones, with your computers and everything. So you go back to the 90s where people were listening to music, looking at magazines and maybe some kind of books that were around was about really all you had back then in the early 90s. Up to maybe about 2004, 2005, and then YouTube came around. And I remember when YouTube came around. I remember what the site looked like when it came around. It looked amateurish. It looked, I don't know how to explain it. Some of you probably remember. Barely any videos at all. I remember little things where that people were copying cartoons like G.I. Joes and putting them on there and putting dumb shit on there. And now it's basically taking over internet. If you haven't noticed, all these things like YouTube are the internet now. So where a lot of people were wanting to make websites and all that, now people are not really wanting to make websites. Now they're wanting to have a channel so that way they can put their information on there. So instead of having some kind of want to make a book, write a book, or any of that kind of stuff, it's all turning into more of a visual channel type thing. And if you haven't noticed, it's turning into TV. So YouTube with their advertisements and how they're pushing out the creators and making it more towards the corporate people buying people's channels, or the people basically by their endorsements and whatever. You'll notice now it's turning into actual TV. You're paying for it so that way you don't have the ads or whatever. And then it will slowly turn into where people are paying monthly for TV so that way they can watch commercials and all that other crap. Yeah. Notice how YouTube had that new frontier thing at the very beginning. Anyone can make money. And then now it's slowly, every year they have it to where, okay, well now we can put advertisements on there no matter what. And now we'll do this, now we'll do that. Now you have to have 40,000, 10,000 hours, watch hours. So people will just see the 1,000 subscribers. Well, I could do that. And not really maybe understand or pay attention to the fact that they've got to have 40,000 watch hours or whatever. And then next year they'll switch it to something else. So that way it gets tighter and tighter. And then they're monetizing and all of that. Taken away. So you make it, they take it. Social stuff, anything that has to do with really living life and having anything to do with other people, if you can avoid that entirely in your life, which I haven't been able to. No matter what, you're going to have to be around people. You have to deal with people. And thus, the pressure. When I had that tree cut down, in the dealing process, there's the other person is edging their way towards getting what they want. So they get pushy, and they're going for shortcuts, and they're doing everything that they can just so that way they can get what they want, and they step on you, and they can read you, and they can say, yeah, I can take advantage of this person, or I can do this, or I can do that, until you tell them to fuck off. Then you can possibly get things to go to stop going in that direction as much. So it's almost impossible to go through life without telling people to fuck off, without coming out of your skin and freaking out on people and letting them know, hey. And for anyone that has a mood situation, that's going to be even more of an issue. Because I know that I can get angry very much, and I can freak out on people, and I can tell them to fuck off even for what they'd say is a smaller thing. And to me, it's not. It's them imposing. It's them justifying or whatever. Anything that they do, always, this is basically humanity. All the time to get things to go their way. And right now in society, as always, right now where we're at, the consumerism is high. The prices were raised up. The consumerism is high. People are punch drunk in that area. They've been conditioned to be that way. So it's where everything is going off into this direction of, say, the way wives do their husbands, or the way men perceive their women, or it's all a matter of you're shown how to live, and it's too obvious. And this is social pressure. So if I say I don't like that about society, well, I've got to deal with the other people that are going for all those things that they're being made to do. And then when everything goes to crap, then everyone's been propped up to eat crap. And it doesn't matter because I've got to deal with it even then. So it's not going to stop the punches. They're not going to stop. And people's bullshit's not going to stop. And sometimes I sit in my own head, sitting down thinking to myself about how there is no escape from the shit of life. There's no way to get away from it. So suppose you and I are possibly close to some area in that sense. If you yourself are not really around people very often, the same as I am. If you are around people often, then I don't know how you do it. I really don't. I don't know how people handle little kids running around them all day, needing all day, and then everyone else that they've got to be in contact with, constantly pressing them and pushing them, cutting them down. That's a usual human thing, is to cut people down, to release some of their bitterness about being short-sighted in the day, so they release their bitterness on someone else that's close to them. I don't know how you do it. I don't know how you handle it. Sometimes I'm thinking I don't have any energy, or what is it? Because other people seem to be bouncing around to that with their little kids around them and everything. Depression in my life, in and out of it all the time. If I am in a low and I'm around others, I want to not be around others. So That's always something that I'm contending with. And if I'm uppity, or in a more up state, then I'm wanting to do things to catch up, and so I've got to go and be by myself, so that way I can go do the things that I've wanted to do during all these times that I've been depressed and haven't been doing. So where things connect with other people, I don't see it myself. It doesn't happen for me that way. So one of the things that humans do is they're constantly looking for companionship. And I noticed that females are always looking for companionship, even when they're with someone. And, upgrade to a new 2023 car or whatever. Upgrade always in life. And that's another social pressure. I just don't have any more trust. Just don't have any trust in people. I don't have trust in life anymore. I noticed that people will tell other people all the time all kinds of things. And then when they've got you where they want you, then it's no thing for them to screw you over. I've seen too much of it. And it's sad. So that constant need for companionship is a bit of a burden, especially when you want to be alone. And it comes back around, and then I constantly got to be telling myself, there's this though, remember? There's this, remember? That's not real great, remember? Remember what love does to you, remember? Remember the hell of it when it does come around? It's not real great. Especially if your brain is not rocking and rolling, and you get stuck alone with all that love feeling, and then that person's gone. That's a horrible thing to go through. So I gotta ask myself, okay, do I want to go through the crap of being alone, or do I want to go through the pain and the misery of love? Do I want to even bother with that? So what else is there in life if you're avoiding companionship or you're avoiding people? If I make a sculpture or whatever, or I do this or I do that, and I say, well, I don't really want to talk to anyone or whatever, I'm not really wanting to do this, or what am I going to do with my sculpture other than the doing it or whatever with myself? So that the pressure of life is not even so much entirely with society. It's in my own mind, in your own mind. It's in your own brain, that those urges and those wants and those needs and those fears and all of those things that are constantly going to be reminding you just with urges. It's the same as the urges to want to screw, or the strong urge for a certain kind of food that you're wanting, or that compulsivity to get that thing that you've been wanting, that you've seen. And if you are going through addiction, you could possibly apply it to that, where you can say, this is something that makes me function, this is something that I want, and then I've got to go through 50 different things in my mind where I'm reasoning with myself and understanding of that thing is not what I want. And still I've got to contend with my mind having the urge to go for it though. So that's pretty much what I've been thinking about. So, hey, best to you guys. I'm happy if you guys are doing pretty good. I know some of you are doing pretty good. I haven't heard from a lot of you. Don't know how you're doing. If you see this, reach out, say hi, and enjoy your summers. Enjoy your summer. Get outside, ride the bike around. Enjoy what you can out of this. And I'll be back in a little bit to say hi. Bye for now.